All right, and I am sitting here with the Dark Fool. And if you don't know who the Dark Fool is, then where the hell have you been? Because you got to check his YouTube channel. He's one of the OG Satanists. Left Hand Path on YouTube.
Thank you, Tom, but I would also like to add, where the hell have I been? Because I do videos every so often, whenever I feel like it.
You got to get back into it.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Like I told you before, they're some of my favorites. So
I did do a Joker review, if I could just plug that real quick.
Oh, okay. Yep. Is that out on your channel?
It is out on my channel, yeah.
Beautiful. Now, I wanted to discuss this with you specifically because I know your interest in Dionysian philosophy, if you will.
Yeah.
Now this is coming from the Nietzschean Dionysian perspective, and its importance toward utilizing it. Okay, the Dionysian aspect, utilizing it toward, I guess you can call it enlightenment in a sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's call it Jung's individuation, whatever you want to refer to it as.
And really quickly, the Dionysian aspect, birth of tragedy from Nietzsche, the Dionysian dichotomy of Dionysus being the frenzied participant and Apollo being the stoic observer, and there's a balance between those two.
Right. But every once in a while, take for example the sect. The sect is... it says right there on the website, rational occultism. Because we want people to come into the sect with a rational mind.
Yes.
But...
yeah, here we go.
Later on, as you work your way up through the orders, the rational aspects aren't as important, let's say. It's still there, you know.
Right.
Apollo, if you will, the Apollonian is still there, but we emphasize the Dionysian. Okay, the transgressive, if you will.
Yeah.
What Georges Bataille called, utilizing the limit experience, going to that edge, and it's important within the left-hand path to not lose that edge.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing about nature itself in general, if I could just strip it down for a minute, there are times where logic and reason, they have their place.
Of course.
But also the call of the wild. I mean, we wouldn't be here if our ancestors didn't answer to that call and mate.
Right.
Because that's the irrational. The irrational has to do with passion and impulses. But they also have their place, but they also need to be in check. Again, this is just stripping away the mystical for a minute, just to kind of bring it down,
sure.
to a more applicable.
Put it this way: you're not going to go out and start murdering people just to be enlightened,
right?
You know what I mean?
Correct.
You're not going to do anything that's going to lead. Look at yourself. You do not want to get locked up.
Correct.
You don't want to end up on death row.
That goes against your best interest.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Stated.
All right.
That's exactly it. All right. So you don't want to do those things that are going to remove your freedom. Okay? And your ability to express who you are.
Exactly.
Now,
you want to give yourself as much freedom as possible, so that balance needs to be struck.
Right. So you can go to the limit experience. Experience the limit experience. That's redundant. Okay, partake in the limit experience. All right, you can do that through art, is one way.
Right. Well, that's where the Dionysian and Apollonian philosophy first came through, was art and tragedy.
Right.
Nietzsche saw tragedy as the highest form of art.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. And you can for me, Giger's paintings are an example of a limit experience. The writings, the erotic writings of Georges Bataille, the story of the eye, is first off, when you read it, you think, this is some of the most twisted pornography you're ever going to read.
Which, by the way, that is on my book list. People listening.
Definitely. It's a short book. It's only like 80 pages. Read this. Read it. Now, there is, of course, the pornographic element to it. But there's something greater going on. The porno is the hammer. It's what he's constructing that's important. Do you know what I mean? The pornographic element.
It's very much it's focusing. It's not focusing on the hammer. It's focusing on the wall being broken. You know what?
Right, something greater. Something greater is happening. He's utilizing this as a tool, as you can as an example of a limit experience, Dionysian madness. Mm-hmm. The guy was very much into Nietzsche and the Marquis de Sade. Now, what I'm concerned with, okay, like I said, to me, this is a major element to the left-hand path. This is transgressive. This is outside the norm, okay? And it must always stay outside the norm. The left-hand path itself must always stay outside the norm. The last video I made was called "We Are the Monsters at the Windows."
Right.
Meaning you have society's in a house, you have mommy and daddy. You know, the mommy wants to keep the kids safe and don't want any harm coming to the kids, and daddy's stern, and so on and so forth. And that's your political balance, if you will. But we're outside of it, peeking in, observing the status quo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I see, and this is frustrating, and we brought this up before in other videos and other discussions we've had, what is going on with the left-hand path now? People are actually trying to make it acceptable. It's like what happened to punk rock when punk rock became, punk rock of the 70s became the new wave of the 80s.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's, the transgressive acts of the 60s became the leisure suit wearing bell bottoms, whatever, of the 70s.
I remember on a personal note, I remember talking to a friend of mine about Randy Newman, The Cars. I mean, basically, what was it, that song "Here in My Car"? It was kind of Gary Newman. Excuse me, Randy Newman. I'm in the deep. You got a friend. No, wrong one. Wrong Newman. All right. That was a good one. Anyway, so I remember hearing, "Here in My Car," and that was kind of like, back in the day, was like, that's weird music. And then I'm shopping one day and I hear it in the background as I'm picking out clothes. Like that's a very odd selection to have for Target, but it's an example of how what was once pushing the limit was then like, oh, now I'm hearing it while I'm shopping.
Oh, I see what you're getting at. Yeah, exactly that acceptance. It's removing the edge, so that the children can play with it without cutting themselves. Yeah. And I see this. It's happening with Satanism.
Well, we've talked about the temple, the Satanic Temple, and how things have been watered down. I remember I even spoke about how one guy said, "Well, Satan's about love," and I was like, "What? Wait a minute." Yeah. It's like, that's not what Satan's about. Satan's about love and about acceptance. I was like, wait a minute.
No.
Yeah.
No. Satan should always be on the outside, peeking in, the Satanist, if you will. There are other examples too. There is the left-hand path televangelists. We won't give any names, but he's a bit annoying.
The Benny Hinn of Satanism?
Yeah, he's sort of doing his
self-empower. You can find power.
Oh, boy.
For $9.95.
Yeah, with the mock sets and so on and so forth. Even that is softening what the path is about. It's a personal path of transgression. which it should always be and always stay that.
If I could bring up, I've noticed the COS has been stagnant. The Church of Satan has been stagnant for a long time. But recently there are people coming out that are just mimicking who's in charge now. You know?
And they're supposed to be the great individualists.
Yeah.
But
That's another...
I
Yeah.
swear you can spot a COS member a mile away. You know? And no disrespect to LeVay and his legacy. And the COS in general and the Satanic Bible, none of that. Because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
That's right.
You know? But things are changing. You know, and we on the left-hand path, can never allow this path to become accepted.
For me, the simple aspect is just to focus on yourself and your life.
Exactly. It's not about the greater whole.
No.